Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. This video is going to be on cleaning the Grex Tritium Series airbrush, top center gravity feed. And there was a question that came up on one of my videos that I put up yesterday from Monsters and Ghouls. Said he had just got the TG3. And wanted to know how far that I actually tear that airbrush down as far as cleaning. So I'm just going to do as quick as we can a video here on my process that I use on this brush. I've had this for several years now, still working like new. I have put new seals in this. There's actually 2 seals in there around the needle, and I had to replace those about a year ago, I think it was. But other than that, it's working, you know, as good as it did when it came out of the box. I do most of my spraying with this airbrush. Highly recommend them. There's some people that's, you know, tried them and, you know, did reviews and stuff on them, and they're just not big fans of the Grex. I have real good luck with them. So, you know, but it's personal preference a lot of times on which brush you like. I've got used to this one. I learned how to make it do what I need it to do by changing needles and, you know, nozzles and different things here and there, but very universal airbrush. But anyway, as far as cleaning this airbrush, if I already had paint in this cup and I just got done spraying, what I will do is just pull the cap off of the top and usually dump the paint that's in the brush back in my jar or whatever I'm working with. It's just a little bit left. I usually just dump it out. And then as just normal cleaning on it, I will put lacquer thinner into the cup. And with it hooked to the compressor, I will just hold my finger over the front of the gun here and pull the trigger back a little bit, and it'll back flush all the stuff out of the front of the gun here and kind of get it, you know, back out of this where the nozzle and stuff is. It'll get it back in the bigger part of the cavity in there, and then you can just turn it over and dump that out. And at that point, I usually just take a paper towel with a little bit of lacquer thinner on it and just clean the cup out inside, and then put a little bit more lacquer thinner back in the brush and just spray it through until it comes out clear. That's what I normally do in between color changes and stuff like that. When it gets to the point where I really need to do a good cleaning on the airbrush, or I'm getting ready to spray either a clear coat or a candy type paint or something like that, I will do a full cleaning. Now, when I get into the full cleaning, it's pretty simple. I'll start out with the cap. A lot of people overlook this. There is an air bleed in the top of this cap. You have to make sure that that stays clear and opened up to the size that it should be at all times. So the easiest way I found to do that is just to take a toothpick and just slide it in and just spin it. Just don't put it in there real hard. Just kind of slip it through and spin it on the top. And then same thing on the bottom. And that cleans that out. Gets you back to the original size opening that was in that air bleed. And the cap is good to go. Make sure you clean around the bottom here with a little bit of lacquer thinner on a paper towel, and get this area, that flange around there, get that nice and clean. That cleans up the cap. And then as far as disassembly on the airbrush, I will pull the cup off and throw it on the floor. There we go. That opens this up here. Now the easiest way to clean this opening here once you have the cap off is with a regular size Q-tip. So the next step that I do is go ahead and slide the needle back, or actually you can go ahead and take the needle out. So we'll take the needle out of the airbrush, and there is some black on there from the spastics that I was shooting right before I did this video. So we have the needle out now, and here you'll have the air cap on the front. Now this is the cap that a lot of people talk about, you know, it won't stay on and that, but I've never had an issue with that. And this one stays on real well. But with it in place, take your Q-tip, and I got some lacquer thinner here in this cap, and just dip the Q-tip in the lacquer thinner and spin it right in the front part of the air cap there. Get that cleaned out, and make sure you do this with the needle out of it, because you don't want to bend the needle. And then I'll take that piece off and do the same thing here where that mounts. Just clean it up with the Q-tip. And that's all there is to the front of it as far as cleaning that up. Once that's done, just unscrew the whole nozzle assembly here. Set it to the side. You should not have any paint in the back side of this at all. If your seals are working properly, you won't have anything to clean in there, so no need to do that. And then you have the fluid nozzle itself right here that is screwed on. You just want to unscrew that. And a lot of times I will take this little fluid nozzle and drop it into my lacquer thinner, which is in the cup right here, in this little cap. And I just let it sit in there while I'm doing the rest of the cleaning on the airbrush. Now we'll take my Q-tip again, dip it in the lacquer thinner, and we'll go down right through the top of the airbrush here. Just kind of spin it around and get all that's in the threads where the cup screws down in here. Get all that cleaned out, and the back part of the cavity. And this thing really needed to be cleaned with this black I got in here. It's really coming out of it. So we got the back of it pretty clean. Next, I use, now this is something that I found recently that works very well. This is the Q-tips from Tamiya. This is one of the smaller ones here, and it works very well for a grex airbrush. I just dip that into the lacquer thinner, and you can go right in the front where the fluid nozzle screws in, and it slides back in there and gets all of this stuff out of the very front of the gun. Just move that around a little bit till all that gets cleaned out. Now, if you've got a lot of junk in there, what you will notice is as you slide the Q-tip in, you can watch it through the where the color cap goes on here, or the cup, and you'll see some of that stuff push back, especially if you're using metallics and things like that. They kind of collect down here in the front. As you put the Q-tip in here, you'll push that stuff back. When you do that, just leave that Q-tip in there. Just hold it just like that, and just come in here and work it with the bigger Q-tip, and you'll get a lot of that stuff out of there. You can also use the toothpick for the real heavy stuff, if you've got any in there, and just kind of pull it out. I don't have any in there. I'm just showing you how to do that, but you will notice that the metallic particles will come back here. You can take a toothpick and just kind of grab a hold of them, and they'll come out stuck to the end of that, and then go back in with the Q-tip and clean that up. Once you've got that done, it's just, you're pretty much clean. At that point, what I do now is get the fluid nozzle, and like I said, all I did was drop this in the lacquer thinner. That's usually all you need for this little piece, and we'll just put that back into place. Don't tighten that down real hard. You don't want to crack that. You don't want to deform it. And make sure whenever you're changing this out to clean it, make sure the needle is not in there. So after that, the next step is just to clean the needle off. And we do that by just taking a piece of paper towel and dipping it in the lacquer thinner. And just cleaning the, just wiping anything off the needle that's on it. From time to time, when I do this cleaning process, I will take a piece of very light 4/0 steel wool and very lightly go over the needle and just kind of polish it back a little bit, just to make sure it stays nice and clean and straight. So the needle's clean. You can go ahead and put the needle back in now. You don't want to push this in real hard. Just push it in until you feel it stop in the fluid nozzle. That's all you need. Tighten that down. Put your adjustment back on. Screw your cap back on. Put the color cup back on. Take some lacquer thinner, dump in here with it hooked up to the compressor. Pull the trigger, flush that out. Your airbrush will be clean, ready to go. You shouldn't have any spitting or carrying on, or any, color being introduced, another color that you used before introduced into your new color. Everything should be cleaned out real well. And that's all you need to do to basically tear down a Grex Tritium Series airbrush and to clean it. Like I say, you only need to do that whenever you're doing, serious color changes, or you want to make absolutely sure that this thing's perfectly clean. Like when I'm doing a build and I'm doing different colors and stuff like that, if it's like interior or chassis or things like that, I will not tear this all the way down. I'll do the first step that we showed you. But other than that, that's about all there is to it. Every now and then you need to check the tension on your needle. And if you start getting any paint coming out around the trigger, you're losing that front seal. You can replace them for about, I think they're right around $15 for the, once you get them shipped here, for the seals, and they last a pretty good amount of time. A little tricky to put in, but not too awfully bad. So that's about all there is to it. Hopefully that answers the questions on cleaning the Tritium Series airbrush from Grex. So until next time, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.